Hey, what's going on? Welcome. Thanks for joining me. This is RJ's Cave, and this time around, guys, we're going to be doing another installment of Can and Hang with Harley. That's the series where we bring in a newcomer into the cave, we check them out, and we put them side by side with the in-house standard bearer for quality at low cost, my Harley Benton S620 electric guitar. All right? So we're going to get right into it, guys. All right, so first we're going to have to do is we're going to have to introduce the stats for the Harley Benton. All right, so we're going to bring that one out first. I'm going to go over that, and then we'll do it for the contender. All right. This is my Harley Benton S620 electric guitar. Sorry for the earthquake. All right, this guitar This guitar is actually a B-stock guitar. It's B-stock because of the paint job. It's actually darker than it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be transparent red, and it's not. It's actually almost dark enough to be a red burst of some sort around the edges. But aside from that, it's fully stock. The only things I've done to it, I put strap locks on, and I did some work to the sides of the frets to get rid of some bad fret ends. Other than that, nothing's been done to this guitar, okay? We have a colored matched inline, 6 inline headstock, which is actually tilted back, all right? Maybe I should have left this out, right? All right, okay. You see how that headstock tilts? All right, it comes with 6 inline tuners. They're gold. These are molded tuners, like they actually melt metal and put it in a mold and all that. So let's just leave it at that because there's no name brand on them, but they're pretty good tuners. They're not superstar tuners, but for an inexpensive guitar, they're good. It also has this is the locking nut for the Floyd Rose Tremolo. Okay, as you see, it's also gold. As far as the neck goes, okay, Inlay Dots first. We have 24 frets. We have a bound fingerboard. Okay. That the fingerboard itself is actually made of material called roseacre. Really quick, roseacre is basically little pieces of maple that were cut and glued together using epoxy or some special resin, and then baked and then cut and sanded and everything, and made into usable fretboard material. It's just a very stable thing. That happens to be very inexpensive, so it's not a bad thing, but it is something that's done for expense. Okay, the binding on this is something that's a little bit of a savings too, because it's plastic, simple plastic binding, nothing fancy. Okay, so now we're on to the neck, which is actually a bolt-in neck. We mentioned 24 frets. It's a maple neck. And now we go on to the body. As you can see, this body does have body shaping. It has contouring, okay? This is a classic S style, but with body contouring. 2 humbuckers, the gold Floyd Rose Tremolo, 1 volume, 1 tone, 1 volume, 1 tone, and a 3-way switch. All right, the strap locks, like I mentioned earlier, I put on the guitar. All right, and I did a little sanding of the frets on the sides to get rid of some bad fret ends. Okay, so now our contender is actually a guitar that it's basically, I think, one of the least expensive ones that Ibanez makes. It's in the Geo series. It's inspired by the RG series, though, so that's actually a positive. And we'll get into that if I got time a little bit, okay? What we have here is the Ibanez Geo. Okay, this one is 2 humbuckers, top routed. We're going to go, let's start at the top here. All right, these are steel stamped tuners. Basically, they take a thin sheet of steel, really thin, so a big machine presses out the gears, cuts them out just by smashing down on it, boom. And they take those, take the rough edges off, put them in here, put covers on them, and a knob on the top. And basically, that's it. And they're very cheap and very inaccurate. These have actually been tightened up a lot so that they are usable, but difficult to turn at times, depending on the tuner. So they are usable on this guitar, but some guitars they're not, okay? So that's why I even mentioned that they're actually usable. Now, this neck doesn't have a tilt back headstock. All right. And so the reason you have a tilt back headstock very quick is so that you have enough tension on the strings to keep the strings going down on putting enough pressure on their slots in the nut so that they don't vibrate or anything like that. Here, because of the neck, the way this neck is, they actually have string trees. Okay. Not a huge deal. This is something that's been done since the beginning of solid body electric guitars. So not a huge deal, but it is something, and it is it does have some significance, some small significance. Anyway, the neck on this guitar is 22 frets, 25.5-inch scale length, just like the other guitar, but only 22 frets. The fretboard itself is actually made, I believe, rosewood. All right, I'm guessing rosewood. It's a light rosewood, but I believe it's rosewood. Some of the less expensive woods that they use are actually lighter than this, so I'm pretty sure that this is some kind of rosewood. But so that's a good thing. That's actually a plus to the Harley Benton, and on top of the Harley Benton, I should say. Right? This one's better. Let's put it that way. Okay, so this is what we call a top routed body. All right, that's why you have this pick guard covering everything, and the pickups. You have 2 humbuckers. You also have a volume, a tone, and a 3-way switch, but this is a slider style, where the other one is more of a Les Paul style. All right. The tremolo on this guitar is the standard old school Fender style 6-point tremolo that goes one way, where the Floyd Rose goes 2-way. Okay, so now, real quick before I get into the differences, I want to play each one of these for you a little bit, so you can get an idea of what they sound like. Just some clean tones and some quick light distortion tones, and then maybe a little heavy metal distortion tones, but just a little, because I want to get you guys to just hear a little. I don't want to keep you all here all day while I'm doing all this either. So this one's plugged in, so I'm going to do this one first. Pardon me, I am sorry. And if I keep shaking you, I'm sorry. That's the length of the mic. The wires seem to have gotten crossed here. So, let's see if I can't help this. If I can't end this somehow. I hope that was noisy, guys. All right, so now all right, I'm going to do some clean and bright tones just to my lapel mic. Sorry guys, this is just how it is right now for this channel. I'm sorry, I'm not warmed up, so I'll do the best I can. All right. That's a clean, bright tone in the bridge position, neck position, real quick. Now in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to move up. This is kind of classic, like, fuzz in the bridge position. All right, now back on the neck. All right, and now really quick, a little heavier stuff. Okay, that should be good. This is gonna be like, kind of Metallica-like, that kind of distortion. That's the neck. Now I'm gonna go to the bridge. All right, so that's going to be that one really quick. All right, so this guitar sounds pretty good. It has the Alnico 5. It has the Alnico 5 magnets. I shook you guys again, didn't I? Sorry. In the pickups, they have the Alnico 5 magnets, which they kind of give a balanced tone in my opinion. I tend to prefer them over the ceramics, which tend to be what you normally get in an inexpensive guitar. This one is such a guitar. So we're going to see. I tend to think this one's a bit bright and a little on the harsh side. So, but you'll hear. Okay, clean. That was bridge, now the neck. Now in the middle. All right, so now we'll go back to the bridge and we're going to kick it up a notch with some fuzz. This is classic, the first one. That was bridge. Now we're going to do the neck. Now in the middle. Now I'm going to crank it up again. All right, more of that Metallica style, that metal stuff. That's the bridge. Now we're going to do the neck. And now in the middle. All right, so that's going to be the playthrough for both of those guys. Now, in an effort to not keep you guys around too much longer, because it's been about, we're going on 15 here so far. So my thoughts, real quick, I wrote a couple of things down, so I want to make sure that I'm kind of fair here. I don't want to just remember one guitar over the other, right? So, well, the fret wire is better. out of the box, so to speak, on the Geo than it was for me with the Harley Benton. Now I say that as someone who's been borrowing the Geo for these reviews, but I know that my friend is at least a second owner, and this is a very, very inexpensive instrument. So I think it's fair to suppose that they didn't do any work to these either. All right, because we're talking about guys who like learned how to play on these things and then, lost interest in that one, went on to something else. And these were never expensive instruments to begin with, and fret job is expensive. So I'm guessing they didn't do anything. So this is probably from the factory, believe it or not. So I'm going to give the out of the box edge to the fretwork to the Geo. Okay. The pickups though, now the ones in the Geo, they are, like I said, I mean, I got a pretty good ear for this stuff. I'm not just tooting my own horn, sorry guys, but the ones in the Geo are definitely ceramic, but they're not bad ceramic, which is actually pretty good for a guitar at this price point. Ceramic magnets, in my opinion, tend to make tones that are a bit harsher, and they have a lot more high end, or at least a lot more output pushing the high end. So you hear more harshness, something to that effect. Anyway, so I tend to shy away from them a little bit. These aren't too bad because they've actually been wound fairly well. A lot of times companies will just wind enough wire on them to make them work okay, and that leaves the tone really, really wanting. This one isn't too bad in that department. Could be better, could always be better, but it's not too bad. Okay, so that was back to the fretboard real quick. The Geo has better fretboard material. I think I kind of mentioned that as I was going on there. It's got an actual rosewood fretboard, and that's always a good thing. So that I got to give to that. The nut is better on the Harley Benton simply because it's got a Floyd Rose tremolo, and that claw eliminates a lot of stuff that you have issues with on the other guitar simply because of the low level of workmanship that was done to the nut. So that means you have the better tremolo system as well on the Harley Benton because it's the Floyd Rose, and whereas on the other one you have a very inexpensive version of a classic 6-point tremolo system. So it's really a no. There's no way that one could win. So sorry, but it is what it is. Now, being an Ibanez, the Geo actually has a slimmer neck. Both of these necks I find nice. Neither one of them is really, really slim over the other, but the Geo is a bit slimmer, you can tell. But not super skinny like the Jacksons are. The Jacksons are super, super skinny. So skinny I have a hard time. It takes me a while to really get comfortable with them. So I like both of the necks fine. They're both really good necks. So that's kind of a wash, except for the fretboard. Now, because of that one line, because of that one little thing with the all right, now hopefully I got that out of my system. Because of that one thing with the headstock angle, all right, that feature goes to the Harley Benton. It's not a huge issue, but it's mentioned here. So the body styling is more attractive on the Harley Benton as well because it's got the curvature and all that. So it's nice and fancy. And it's not a top-routed body with a big black hunk of plastic covering up most of it. So if it didn't have if the Ibanez didn't have that huge hunk of plastic covering most of it, it would look a lot better. But that's just my opinion. And the tuners, they're junk on the Geo. On the Harley Benton, it's funny, they don't need to be that good because you have the clamp. So once you get it into tune, you clamp those things down. You don't need the tuners again for a while. But they're actually, the regular tuners on the Harley Benton are better than the ones that are on the Geo. But I don't want anyone thinking that any of what I'm saying is mean to the Geo, all right? Because the Geo, believe it or not, is actually still a fun guitar to play. I actually like playing it. If the pickups are just a little bit better, I could probably forgive everything about it and just like have it leaning on the wall and pick it up once in a while. Like that. I mean, it'll never be, as it is, it would never be something I'd run around playing out with or anything. But if the pickups were just a little better, it would be something I would be attracted enough to play more often. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. It's got a lot going for it though, guys. It's an Ibanez. It's an RG design. The RG design is actually something that is based off of developments that things they learned making the gem for Steve Vai. So you're getting a good trickle down to a lot of stuff. So the fact that this is the low end of that series, if you go looking online for used stuff for RGs, most of that stuff will probably fit this guitar. And I say probably because I've never actually done it, but I've got to believe that companies that all use the metric system that are making these guitars for Ibanez, as well as Ibanez themselves making them, they're going to be pretty close and should be able to more or less drop in. And I guarantee you that if you could find a set of pickups from a gem and drop them into this guitar, it'll sound incredible. Okay, so you could find stuff like that used relatively inexpensively. So you can do these things and develop this guitar into something as you grow as a musician. So in that respect, it is a pretty good choice as well. It's a flawed but fun starter guitar. But as long as the tuners don't, and the nut isn't an issue, the tuning and all that stay stable, this is something that a beginner can have fun with. So my recommendation is to do what happened to this guitar, lose the tremolo bar for a little while, and just let it be a guitar, and just play it like that, and you should have no problems. So if you find one of these used for less than $100, it's a deal. If you find it for less than $70, it's a steal. If you got to find one new, go ahead and get one new, because more than likely, this one was made around 2003 as far as I can tell. So more than likely, the new ones are probably maybe just a little bit better quality-wise. Like they got to have probably changed those tuners, because it seems to have become a standard now to go up to the next level of tuners, even on the most inexpensive guitars. So I'm starting to see that. So I got to believe that Ibanez, being a leader in this kind of thing, is probably gone and done that as well. So I'm thinking that you're not going to get a bad guitar if you got to buy a new one for $140, $150, or $200 with a cheap amp and a gig bag and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to go out and get it. As far as the verdict for this, the Harley Benton wins. You can hear what I'm saying. I mean, it's just the quality level on the Harley Benton is really high for the price point of that guitar. So that's why it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Here, that's why it's the standard bearer. So, but if you can pick one of these guys up, go for it, guys. Before I tell you guys to leave, don't ever forget what we're doing here, guys, is kind of like what we're learning when we learn music is kind of like learning magic, because in the real world, what's the closest thing we got to magic? When you think about it, it's got to be music, right? So go out there and learn how to make magic, all right? Learn how to make some music. And while you're here, before I go, please check out the review video that started it all. If you're interested in what's going on with this Harley Benton, you can check out the review that started it all. All right, I'll put that up here at the end of the video. It should be popping up any second now. It's going to be a little box, like probably right here. And don't also forget, guys, that if you want to learn how to play guitar right now, you got a shot at winning 3 months of free guitar lessons online. All you got to do is check out this video right here, okay? It's going to be down at the bottom of the box, all right? The other one's up here. This one's down here, all right? You click on that right now, and you will go to the video that tells you how you can get in the raffle to win free guitar lessons, all right? So that's it, guys. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. This has been RJ's Cave. Later.